going on today? It's been a bit, yes. But where we left off the last time was we were working on a Notion API. Uh we started working on a thin wrapper for the Notion API, and we're going to continue on that adventure and see where that leads us to. um yeah, so let's get started. Let's go ahead and go down to that. And we have our application showing on the screen. And we have our repo showing up on the screen. And let's get going. So um, let's start with running tests. We only have two tests. I don't think we've actually written anything specifically. We were just starting to write some code because this is an API wrapper. But we had started building out these various different sections, utilities, modules to drive our little package here. One was to take in, so it's a pretty thin packet. So we're trying to be as thin as possible with this. I don't want to throw in too much stuff into this. I just want it to be simple, being able to request things from Notion. It just returns back the payload, and it's up to the consumer to do whatever they want with it. I'm not going to attempt to try to parse the payloads and try to intelligently render out stuff. And we're just going to keep it very thin, just regular requests, responses. Lazamat. Yeah, we are hiring. Zeal is hiring. So if you want to take a look at that, thanks for using the command, by the way. Greatly appreciate that. You're not looking for me. Who is me? Tell me about you. Tell me a little bit about yourselves. I'm curious. I accidentally closed the window, so now I gotta open it up. Let me move this over. Oh, I didn't save the stream layout. That's why. This, that there. Drag this down. Are you a web developer also, just specializing in other stuff, or how's that? Sure, we're gonna save that as layout one. I forgot that Twitch lets you save like dashboard layout stuff. So yeah, here's the base module that is that's in charge of doing gets and posts from the Notion API. The Notion API isn't too sophisticated, or it's not too complicated. Yeah, there's not too much to it. So developers notion.com. Let's go to the API reference. There's not a lot to this. Like, this is the Notion API. All of these different endpoints. Not too much, not too complicated. We're focusing mostly on gets right now, not posts. It's that we've started working with. Well, in a nutshell, I studied computer science for 2 years, hated it. Got trained as an electrical technician, then got put into dev team and developed C# desktop applications and Oracle DB stuff at work. First year on the job. That is quite a voyage to get to coding. So, out of curiosity, so yeah, I mean, like, going to school, learning computer science, stuff like that, is can be extremely difficult and super annoying, and you can hate it. It's understandable. Were you intending to just stick with the electrical, being an electronic technician, or were you intention using that as a gateway to try to get onto a dev team out of curiosity. But that's really cool. I think that's really, really cool. And congratulations being first year on the job again. So yeah, so this is just doing gets posts. This is building, we have a little helper method here to help build the URL, adding in processing the parameters, and then encoding the URL that needs to be done for sending requests. The thing that the gets and the posts do is we also have a helper method here that adds the request headers to our URLs for our requests, and that is coming out of the utils module, and that has a bunch of different methods to add in to pull different information, because the Notion API requires an API key, a version header for, so that's how they're going to be doing API versioning, using header argument, setting the date, and this helps construct that request header. So this request header for gets is the version header, basically the version header list concatenating with the auth header list, putting those two together. And inside it has a tuple with the key and the value. So that's how HTTP poison, HTTP poison. I always include the extra P there. So, I always loved programming, but just hated the theoretical university stuff. Didn't help that I chose applied computer science, which was even more theory. Ooh, yeah. Got the offer as an electronic technician and develop PLC and such things. After my education, I got offered a C# dev job though. I looked into it and it was fun, so I accepted. That's really awesome. That's super cool. That's super cool. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure the first 2 years of computer science gave you like, yeah, the first 2 years give you all the foundation for stuff to just know about in terms of programming, and then the next set of the voyage of computer science, especially applied computer science, would be just applying all these like crazy theories and doing lots of like theorems and mathematical notations and all that stuff that's like really not stuff that you want to do or would need to do, because you're not going to get a master's in computer science or whatever. That's really cool. And it sounds like you hopefully you're enjoying where you're working. All right. So the one thing we left off last time was working on the databases, uh implementing the get to retrieve a database and the list databases at the very end of the stream. Got this working at the very, very, very end of the stream, and it just had to do with arguments, but it worked. It worked. um One thing need to figure out how to do right now is to set the environment variables when running this code, because right now, I think before I was hard coding the environment variables when we were testing stuff, and I preferably want to just not, like set in an env file or something like that, so we can just pull those environment variables to API key at least. Yeah, I do still looking at job offers just to see what other skills I should pick up to future proof myself. I mean, yeah, understandable. In all honesty, you can never truly future proof yourself. It's always a constant battle of learning, and more learning, regardless, because things always change. And sometimes you can just really enjoy what you're doing at your job, your day job, and just do stuff, experiment with stuff as side projects outside of work. Because sometimes the things you want to apply and do, you can't do on the job, but you don't have enough experience, or you don't want to take the risk of going outside of your the language or the technologies you know. So sometimes it's just better to fiddle around and break stuff on your own time and learn stuff, and then make the switch once you have enough that you can brag. Learning new stuff on your own time. What type of new stuff are you learning? Out of curiosity. What is um what is making Lazamat like go like, yeah, I want to build something with that. All right, so let's figure out about setting environment variables for this library. So I am curious a little bit about other type of libraries on Elixir. Let's try to get some inspiration from some other libraries on Hex, because I'm not exactly sure how I should go about trying to set environment variables um when trying to just test this directly. Maybe we can just look this up. Actually, let me look at some of my notes. Let me see if in my Elixir documents articles I have anything that talks about um, environment variables. We have a lot of articles, so there could be something. So far, sticking with .NET World, so I started on .NET Blazor to ease into web development, just HTML, CSS, C Sharp for none, so I don't have to put JS into it yet. Nice. I mean, you can probably just keep on deep diving into that using Blazor to do web development, or not web development, but even like push it to do mobile development. I would say, yeah, just yeah, dabbling with Blazor, any C Sharp stuff, and to do web development stuff is a good way to go. And there's plenty of stuff to do for web development stuff. There's no end to the ideas you can implement, and it's on the cheap, and it's really easy to get other people to adopt it or use it. So let's see here. Handling environment variables in Phoenix. So not specific to just Elixir, just but this is Phoenix. So we'll open up that article. Do do do. So that's the only one I can see. All right, we're gonna go to Hex PM. What are we working on? So the current project that we're working on is a brand new. It is it's a library for the Elixir programming language. So to use Notion to connect and get information from Notion. So this this is the API, and then Notion was the thing I was just looking at. This Notion is a is like Evernote, note taking type of free form WYSIWYG application, web application. And they released a beta API, a beta version of the API, so that you can interface with this and fetch all sorts of different data from here. So that's what this library is, and it's right now it's we've only spent so much so far, one like 2 hours working on this, 3 hours. We adapted it from some work I had done on on another project, and pull this over, and we're building this out now. That's what that is. Let's take a look at the Twitch libraries here. Why not? Why not look at something we know? Not exactly the healthiest documentation. Let's see. Well, we'll see. Mm-hmm. Let's look up just variables. Let's look at this article. Frackberg, hello there to you. How you doing, Frackberg? How are you this fine day? Mm-mm-mm. So this is for Elixir, or not Elixir, but the way Phoenix does environment variables. Elixir config, simple keyword based configuration API. Long time frame. I've been doing pretty good. I have been doing pretty good. I cannot complain. Life has been good. Life has been relaxing. Just trying to build stuff and have a good time doing it. What have you been up to, my friend? So simple keyword, this module is the most common used defined application, typically config exs. And then so import will import the functions config to help manage your configuration. Config and configure are used to define key value. That once the mix starts, it will automatically evaluate the configuration file and persist the configuration above into some application environment, which can be accessed in as follows. Good stuff. Been digging into AWS build pipeline stuff. It has been very neat for me. That sounds cool. I've only dabbled a little bit into the AWS build pipeline stuff for the string closed captioner really early on, but yeah, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I am completely off AWS in terms of hosting and building and stuff like that. So I don't have to worry about that figuring that beast out anymore. So let's see here. It's talking about creating a config file. Let's mm, mm, mm. AWS consultant and you is sad. That's funny. Yep. One less thing for me to worry about for my developer brain, right? So Elixir packages uh trying to see the best practice here. So I don't care about panning environment variables in Phoenix. I guess we just have to, I guess I'm just gonna look at um I mean we do have this as inspiration, but I'm gonna take a look at some other packages on Hex just to see how they manage for these API type libraries and see what they do about library client for Twitter and just how they manage the environment variables or how they set them, especially in test. So what I want to take a look at here is config exs. Okay, so that's what they do. Okay, so just like in the documentation over here, talking about config, we want to do the exact same thing. And this is why we look up stuff. So let's go ahead and emulate this. So we have to create a new folder called config. And I think it's just going to be a file called config. Yeah. Config access. And put that in there. But we're not going to be using this. This is just inspiration. Where we have our values is config. Let's take a look at this. Notion API, API key. So it'll be basically no array. And then this. So we're just going to get the values. So this would be the Notion thin, not this, thin Notion API. And then we would have our API key here. And then this would be Notion API key. And this is so I can set an environment variable with these values and use this in testing without for anyone to actually use this in testing very easily. Notion version. Trying to see if there's anything else that we want to do. So that's good. Let's see if on their mix EXS they say anything about referencing the config. Because I think it should be automatically included. I accidentally added this as a bookmark. Apologies. Not sure how I'm apologizing to, but I'm apologizing anyway. CLI ENV. What is this? That's new to me. Interesting. I don't know what that does. They use VCR for their testing. I guess we can integrate VCR. VCR records API requests and saves them to a file so that you can easily just retest your code for if it handles the request properly still. The only downside of VCR is that you can easily get Since you're stubbing out the API response using VCR, if the API updates and it can get out of sync, and you can be testing against a payload that no longer exists or is no longer valid. So you know you don't even know if your tests are properly failing because they're not failing against the new stuff, the old stuff, but they're definitely failing against the new stuff. I'll worry about that later. Oop, right back. Forgot something. BRB. All right, we're back. It's a little quiet. It's a little quiet, people. So we're gonna do a little something here. We're gonna try playing some music in the background. There we go. All right. Ooh. So what I'm gonna do here is I am going to use a third-party service to easily set my environment variables. So I use a service called Doppler that I was introduced to by a coworker actually that lets you easily save environment variables into the cloud so that you don't actually have to have it stored on your computer, and then you can I forget the name of the wait, well I guess it was auto completing it. So I can create an app in Doppler. So let me sign in. I'm gonna hide myself. Or better yet, this. Okay, better. So yeah, so here's Doppler. I'm gonna create a new project in here. The Notion API. And and automatically there's environments set up, but I'm gonna set up so we already have a development environment set up. And here we're gonna add our first secret. So our first secret is a Notion API key. Our second secret is Notion version. Notion version, we already know this isn't too much of a secret going on here. It's that. For the Notion API key, I need to go to my Notion app and grab my integrations and grab my key from there. So for the thin Notion API, I need to grab this key. So I'm gonna hide that and copy that and paste that into there. And we're gonna save. So now I have this configured. There's two environment variables in here, and they're saved in the cloud in a secure location. Now, um, now we want to set up. Now we want to tell Doppler that this is the application that we want to use this application. So I think it's Doppler setup. And we're going to use the Notion API. We're going to use the dev environment. And now it's set up. And and then if we want to apply those environment variables to our application, I believe it's been a little bit since I did this. It's Doppler run. You just say Doppler run and then whatever command you want to do. So we're going to test this application in the command line. So mix ix-x, I think is the command, but let's see. It's Doppler dash run flag, or just dash dash. So Doppler run dash dash. Syntax error. There we go. So we have stuff working, I think. So we have, how is this supposed to work? So it returns trying to pull up the documentation. Actually, I think we have it here. Let's look at the documentation of exactly what the get for the database, retrieve database. So retrieves database object using the specified ID or the ID specified is what we're doing. I'm not sure what's up with that. I left out, it's missing that. So we already have a test Notion page that we're using to fetch information from, and it's this one. So we've given permissions for our Notion integration, or we should have had given it permission, our Notion integration, to access this test database. I don't see it. There we go. Based on. So it looks like I have to re-invite this. So we're going to re-invite our thin Notion API to have access to this. And our database ID is this, I believe. So I should be able to do then Notion API will access directly the model, the databases module, and want to retrieve a database, and it should be the the ID of the database. I am going to quickly test this out and see if this works, making sure that I don't leak any keys if it errors out, and it did work. So there we go. So we did a request, it returned back an okay with information about the database, about this database, about this page. Do, 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 do. And you can see right here, plain text, test database has a bunch of other properties in here that we don't really care about. That's what it does. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to copy this, because this output is perfect as an example. For our application. All of this needs to be indented over one, and then I need to get the indentions just right for this. So Control V. Oh yeah, I learned something new. You can actually drag the CLI as its own, as a separate just window here now. I didn't know that. That must be new. But now you know. Oh, you don't have to keep the terminal in the little tiny drawer. You can actually have it as one of your editor windows. So keep that parallel with the IEX. My auto documentation. My auto documentation. There we go. That's feeling better. This all needs to be pushed over. Auto formatter? No. How's that look? Not beautiful. Not exactly the most beautiful thing yet. Not the most beautiful thing yet. Let's scooch this over just over one. I'm going to shorten this down by like that. Why is that not looking nice? I have to go one more in. I never really paid attention to how much Yeah, okay. So I have to go 2 indentions in to get the formatting just right. Retrieves the database object using the ID specified. Nice. All right. So that's working. We're keeping it thin, so it's just that. Let's allow access to the thin API here too. Invite. Let's go ahead and make another database here. Uh, database 2. The reason I'm making 2 is we're about to test listing the databases to see if that's actually going to return back databases that we need. So list databases. Let's see what that does. List just list all databases. Authenticated integration. Use search instead. This endpoint will only return explicitly shared pages, while search will also return child pages within explicitly shared pages. Ooh. So let me remove sharing this page. So we're only going to see this page. We're not going to see these other 2 pages that it technically has access to from the higher up scope. All database shared with authenticator, the response may contain fewer pages. The response will include the next page token that can be taken to retrieve the next page results. Is that true? Is that true, Notion? No, it's not. Or is that true? Not Notion, but GitHub Copilot. Examples. List databases. I like that. That's cool. But this takes in params. The response may contain fewer than page size. That is our request. I want to put a note in here. Wonder if we do what type of notation this supports. I guess it does work. Oops. So let's see here. use search pages for more details at some point, no longer. So we're keeping documentation nice and clean. Okay, so I should be able to just do databases list databases. Whoa, why is that all messed up? Oh, we don't have any databases directly associated with us, because this is a page, a regular page, not a database. So if I do this and share it, so let's explicitly share this database with it. Okay. Oh, nothing comes up. Interesting, interesting. Okay, so there's not much we can do with that, oddly. Oops, hit my mic. I'm kind of confused here, so I'm gonna remove this integration here. Go back over here. Invite, Notion, that, this. Okay, so that's there. Now if I the Notion API. So now this is directly shared. What does this one look like now? Okay. Still shared. Go here. Remove this. Go like this. And now it's not shared. Okay. Good. All right. And then this supports page cursors and page sizes. So querying a database. Let's go on to the next endpoint. Ooh. It's a list of pages, so let's implement the next one. Query database. Let's go ahead and create our doc. Create database. Gets a list of pages contained in the database, filtered and ordered according to the filter conditions and sort criteria provided in the request. The response may contain fewer than page size of results. Okay. So let's go ahead and copy that description over. So let's first test the fact, or let's implement it, and then we'll test just fetching the pages in a database. And then, so hold on, let me just read the database access. Integrations can only access databases as a user has shared with the bot. Attempting to create database which is not shared will return. So this will be curious because this database has not been explicitly shared with me. It's shared to the app via the root page that contains the database. So we'll see what happens here. So let's implement this first. So this is intended to be a post request. So we use our handy dandy post, and we're doing a request to databases slash, and then concat database ID, database ID, concat query and params. Cool. That was kind of helpful. And then we want to pass the params. Although this is more like not query params, but let's more accurate call this body params. Because query params and body params are there's a distinction between those two. What are you complaining about? Database ID. Okay. Let's go ahead and have base open over here. So post does take in a body. It encodes the body and then adds that in. Okay. Looks like we are set up for success potentially. Fingers crossed. Let's go ahead and go to the terminal and reload. Okay, I forget the command for reloading all the everything, but then Notion database module, reload that, and then Notion API database module, and we have our new query database, and we're gonna queries a database, gets a list of pages contained in the database. So let's start with this root page here. Let's see what happens. I'm going to hide this real quick just in case this errors out and leaks a key. Did not error out. Query database that, so I couldn't find this. Let's try seeing if it can find this guy. Paste that in. Quickly hide this. Hey, there we go. That worked. So that page that I was just querying for is just a regular page, not a database. So there's a distinction between pages and databases. I always have to remember that. There's a distinction between a page and a database. So get a list of pages contained in the database, filtered, ordered according to. So the pages in the database that it's talking about is these individual items here. Hello world. Good evening, planet. I don't know. I'm just saying random stuff. Goodbye world. So let's see what this gives us back. So we didn't have anything filled in for those three different entries on the database, but now that I have, there we go. Now we actually see some data coming in. See, hello world, good evening planet, goodbye world. Good. We're making progress here. And then we get the links to those different databases. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now the question is if we can query, if we can actually query for the body params. So how are we supposed to be able to do queries? We have filter, Jace sorts, start cursors, page size. Let me go ahead before I continue that. Let me fill in the example code. Examples. So that's not 100% it. Copilot is really struggling to help me out here. And then I'm going to have it just give me back one of these. Trying to see about, did I grab an item too soon? No, I didn't. It's like single line indented. So this ended. So then that should be the end of that array there. And then need to do two more end quotations. There we go. There we go. That feels better. It's like something doesn't feel right. Let's see here. So that completes that. Did I do this right? There. I think that's it. Okay. I don't know what's up with this song. Okay. Now we were going to try to test the body parameters. Now that we have the documentation going. Start cursor. Filter. Sorts. Let's try start cursor. Actually, we don't. Let's do page size. Page size seems really trivial. So I think page, it should be like this, where we do page size, and we're going to say 1. And see if that works. I'm going to hide my screen real quick. Come back. And it didn't work. We still have a result of 3. The number of items from the list desired in the response. Can I make this bigger? No, I can't. That's unfortunate. It stays that small forever. So page size just supposed to be the body params. And we're doing a request here. Page size is 1. Let me try changing things up a little bit to try to change the syntax here. Still same thing. Now we just go and take a look at how we're handling the request to be sure. So we do a post, grab the body, we try to encode it, JSON, and we try to add that in as part of the post request. The post takes in a URL or a string. Second thing's supposed to be a body, I believe, even though it's not like officially saying that. Oh, right here. Body headers. Let's see. Do we have any other examples here? There is a lot of filters, by the way. Yeah, so the keys are like that. Key, colon, the thing. Oh, page size not spelled right. There we go. Maybe if we spell things correctly, we'll get things correctly. Now on to the next example. IEX that and like so. Make sure that this is properly indented. Nice. It's working, folks. It's working. Mm, mm. This filtering stuff is crazy. Maybe later on down the line, figure out a way to specify sorting or a build like a module to help construct how you're going to sort. But in the meantime, again, thin, keeping it thin. All right, so the last thing to do, so we have retrieve knocked out, query knocked out, list knocked out, create database. Is that possible? Can we do it? Do we have the technology? So I'm going to copy this and just we're going to call this create database, and create database takes in body params alone, doesn't take any URLs, any IDs. So we get rid of all this like query param type stuff. We just do a post request to databases with a bot with body params. Trying to think here. So it's fairly simple. We take in parent, title, and properties. Those simple arguments, uh, not exactly probably simple payloads and formatting inside those. So there's parent is of type and page ID. I wonder if to help to start trying to introduce like struct like type hint type stuff. Potentially. Because I am pretty confident this will work if we pass it in, but want to help the user as much as possible to know what to do. Because basically, a create database takes in one single param, but it's the struct or it's this map with so much data in it. Unless I construct it for the person, I think let's let's help the person out by having parent ID, title, and properties like that. I think in this situation we'll do this. So the parent ID is this. Let us replace these. Since these are string keys, we'll just stick with the rocket syntax for this. Let's do this. Let's define our map. Our map contains that. Close that. So this is the body. Do you know what the reason is why you can only hire US citizens even though it's remote? Is it because of time zones? Some labor law? I don't know the 100% specifics of it. Um, but there are, so I know that just like business structure wise, it's not trivial to hire someone, a foreign national, someone in another country. There, I think there's labor law practices, how how you, I think you have to have the company registered in that country for like tax laws so they can track taxes and stuff like that. Um, it's different if let's say I am a US citizen, but I'm just living in another country and working from there. I'm a US citizen, so so a company can, as long as I'm a US citizen with some sort of like home base, whether it's like my in-laws or an apartment I have or whatever, um, you can just um they just have to live out of a state. Like they have to have a home state that you can do that you build them from. But I think it all gets into taxes and stuff like that because a country wants to know how much you're making. Any country you live in wants to know how much you're making so they can know how much they can tax you or they can just know more about you. Do I have dead pixels on my screen? Oh, wait. I don't think so. Okay, anyway. Yeah, it gets into that. I'm not a legal, by no means am I a lawyer or tax person, but I know it gets complicated with that stuff. Healthcare, it's simpler for smaller companies to be able to just have to hire out of the US. Yeah, taxes. Now that you mention it, now tax system of any country is suited to handle costs of nation remote work as any even a thing before COVID. Yep. I mean, even within like the United States, statewide, like between states, like when you file your taxes, the state wants a state wants to know whether you worked in another state and earned income there for a company in another state. That'd be interesting if changes in the future. That would be really cool. I think basically if all countries, like I guess it's similar. I'm not sure how it is in the EU, but since the EU has member states and stuff like that, I'm not sure if taxes in certain respects have been normalized, so you can just easily just work from, yeah, because everything's like kind of like together, right? There's like agreements. So if countries around the world could come across an agreement, tax agreements like minimums, like just set standard taxes uh for employment, I doubt it'd be a lot easier. Or and also healthcare and stuff like that. If there was like national, like international healthcare system, then it's a lot easier too. Title. You're doing title next. In the future, I think I'm gonna extract this to be generalized, further generalized. For our maps, we got to put a percentage symbol in front of them because that's how you denote a map in Elixir. So this is our title. Cool. I wonder what happens if you include multiple titles, how that plays out. We're almost there. Properties. Properties in schema database. The keys are the names of properties as they appear in the Notion. In Notion, and values are property schema objects. That's a all right. We're just gonna just not do anything about properties. Um, what is it? I need to merge the properties into the body params here. Let's look up the documentation for Elixir map. And so this merging two different maps in together. So what I'll do here is keep things simple. Map merge properties along with this. That. So let's see what it says about properties. Community user keys named from up here. I wonder if there's any required properties or if it can just be completely blank. I guess we're gonna find out right now. Juan Carlos, hello. Mans. How you doing, Juan? Let's see if this is gonna work. Let's reload our module and see what's up. Getting a little message here on the side. So while I get that message, then so we go then Ocean API, and then nice sunglasses. These are the Gunner glasses. ID font is kind of small for stream. Sure. Let's bump it up a little bit. It always depends on the monitor, but the moment someone says it, we bump it up. And then the Notion databases. And then what we want to do is we want to create it. We want to try to create a database. Okay. So the first argument is the parent ID. So here is our parent page. So we're going to try to create a database too. This is an API. This is a RESTful API using JSON that we're building. We're building a library for the Notion API. It's RESTful. The title, the name of this is going to be database 3. Now let's see if just doing those two values and not including any, just including empty properties will work. I'm gonna do Heidi mode real quick. And we did get an error. Body failed validation. Body dot properties should be defined. Oh, right. I guess this is not good here. I'm actually thinking about, so I like, these gunners are nice for when my eyes are getting a little strained, just to filter the light a little bit more. It's good for that. But I'm actually thinking about getting colorblind indoor glasses for when I'm at the computer and see how that works out. So now we're just mapping. What's that? So I'm red green colorblind, and I actually have a pair of these sunglasses. I'm not like severely, I have like a moderate level of red green colorblind, but you can get these, you can buy, there's a couple different companies, but you can get these sunglasses that help, that they have some polarization that help enhance, make the reds and greens more vibrant, so you can actually see things more clearly. So I have a pair of these for sunglasses, and they're actually really nice. Like, green is green and red is really red, so it helps with, like, you know making more of a distinction, not washing out. So they also have indoor versions of these glasses. So I'm kind of curious how the indoor versions will look, or how the indoor versions, like, yeah, how things will look if I put them on indoor and like play games and do stuff, and like how, if that's going to be any, like, a change. So I've been thinking about getting these for the indoor. They're not, they're like it's like paying for prescription eyeglasses basically, but they're just for, color blindness. So I've been thinking about doing that. Yeah, you can actually take a test. So they actually have a, test you can take to see if you do have a degree of color blindness. I found out I was colorblind in, I think I found out I was colorblind in school. Um, it was during, was it middle school? You didn't know there was sunglasses for colorblind? Yeah, it's really awesome. They do work. They do work. Yeah, I found out I was colorblind probably in middle school, I think. We were reading like a health book, and in the health book, one of the things they were talking about was eyes, and they were talking about color blindness, and they had one of these blot tests, these dot tests, and these dot tests, you'll see different numbers depending on your color blindness, and I forget what number I saw, but I didn't see the regular number that people were supposed to see. Like, for example, it could it could say 13, but a red green color prime person's only going to say 3, or or it really says the number 8 but you only say 3, like stuff like that. That's how like the test goes. Yeah, it's really cool. All right, so we added the properties key. We were taking in properties, but we weren't adding it to the body map. We were like merging it, but that wasn't effective because it actually needs to be a property, an attribute on the map itself. So we just added that in, reloading the context. Let's rerun the request real quick. And failed. It says that title is not provided. Interesting. Let's look at the documentation to make sure we're formatting everything correctly. Parent, parent, title, properties. Parent, title, and properties. And then for a title, we have this. And we are passing in a title here when we call this method. Did the last test for fun, but I didn't get a result, just straight back. Oh, really? That's interesting. Uh, it should have like, let's see, let's quickly go through the test real quick because I'm kind of curious. So that's 9, that's 6, that's 4, 8, nothing, 2, 2, 3, 2, nothing, 5, nothing, not sure, 9, 3, 8. And again, I'm just wearing these glasses, so it's like this could also be affecting my results. I don't reach, whatever, unsure. 3, 6, 3, 9, unsure. 6, I don't see anything. 8, nothing, nothing. 2, maybe? Unsure. 9. Oh, continue to test results. Okay. And this time it says I have a strong one. Yeah, so I had these glasses on which were filtering the light, so they were even more messing with my vision. But yeah, so you can see I have the color red green colorblind. This is what the red green colorblind is. This is so it's right here. So it takes you back to the store, but it's right there at the top right here. I don't know, maybe if you're not colorblind, it's just kind of like, hey, buy glasses. Normal color vision score. 1 million sounds crazy. I know it does. It's amazing how much your vision or color, not your, like, obviously your vision, but the colors you see can make up your reality. Because if you think about it as a mind trip, the way I see the world is completely different than the way you see the world because I see different colors or I don't see certain colors. So what you see and I see is different when we look at certain colors together. So my reality is slightly different than yours. Isn't that kind of trippy? Okay, let's see here. So for whatever reason, it didn't include the body. Yep, exactly. Exactly. Maybe the world has totally different colors. Exactly. Um, we're gonna basically close up shop right now. I think we should just finish it up. We're at a a little a little hitch in the development process where it's saying that title is not provided when we are providing a title. Not sure why, but that's the way it is. You have title right here. We're passing it in. Let's just hard code it. Try it again. Title's not provided. Yeah. Let's do this. Let's convert this to regular old atoms for keys. We're just gonna try to do one more thing just to see what happens here. So we'll convert these arrow functions to that. And then we go back one, get rid of the quote there. There we go. Thank you, Vim, for being you. So title's still not provided. No clue? Let's try quickly doing an IO puts on what the JSON body look like. IO dot puts JSON body. So we can just see what the body looks like when we're trying to do the thing with the codies. So reload the module, rerun the thing, and where's my IO puts? I am going to exit this. Let's rerun this again. And we do this. So there's our outputs. Page ID, properties is empty, title, text, content, database. That with link is null, type text. All of that looks good. I wonder if it's failing because the this. It needs this. Like it's required that there's a bare minimum to what the map provides. Like that. Because this defines a title. We need the percent symbols on our maps. reload Notion, then Notion database module, and rerun this, and it works. So that's what was missing. So that wasn't a very descriptive error because it just said title was missing, but it didn't say whether it was the property or not. But that worked. So now we have this database 3 in here. Okay. And with that, we're done for today. I have a meeting coming up in about 10 minutes, so I gotta head out. So thanks everyone hanging out. Greatly appreciate you. And, just having this chat, talking about random stuff, colorblind stuff. So it was great. We'll be back next Friday for another Zeal stream, and we'll continue working on this package here. I'm gonna probably next stream we'll focus on trying to get a better shape with the body parameters, declaring some sort of the typings, so to help any consumer of this library know what they need to set and just clean things up, because that definitely was a little weird. That title was required, but it doesn't actually explicitly call that out. Like, it doesn't really do it. It's a database. You want to have exactly one data's property. Okay, it's in the property schema. I see. Okay. Anyway, we'll cover it next time. Thanks so much, and I will catch you next time. So everyone, have a great weekend. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Go eat something yummy. I'll catch you next time. Peace.